Picture this, the 94th minute, the London Stadium is absolutely erupting. West Ham's Callum Wilson has just put the ball into the net. The home fans believe it, the players believe it. And for a few seconds, everything Arsenal had worked for all season looked like it was slipping away in the most painful way imaginable. But wait, the VAR check begins. Darren England, the video assistant referee at Stockley Park, and his assistant Akil Housen start their review. The atmosphere goes quiet, tense, unbearable. And then, after a lengthy review, referee Chris Kavanagh walks over to the pitch-side monitor to take a second look himself. The announcement comes over the speakers. West Ham number 19 commits a foul on the goalkeeper. Final decision, a free kick. The goal is disallowed. Arsenal survive. Arsenal win 1-0. That is where we are starting today. Because that moment right there was not just a match moment. That was a season-defining, potentially title-winning moment. And every single detail around it deserves to be examined properly. Now, let us be very clear about what was at risk at that exact moment in the 94th minute. Arsenal, before that game kicked off, was sitting at the top of the Premier League. The situation coming into this match was straightforward: win and extend the lead, drop points and hand Manchester City the momentum they desperately needed. And with Manchester City holding a game in hand, every point dropped by Arsenal was an invitation for City to close the gap. Going into this fixture, the gap at the top was 4 points. Arsenal needed to protect that. They needed to win. And for 83 minutes, the scoreline was blank, 0-0. The pressure was building with every minute that passed. Then Leandro Trossard scored. Arsenal led 1-0. And just when the 3 points looked secured, Wilson's disallowed goal in stoppage time threatened to rip it all away. If that goal had stood, Arsenal would have drawn. Manchester City's game in hand would have suddenly felt enormous. The title race would have been wide open again. The psychological damage to Arsenal could have been catastrophic heading into the final 2 games of the season. That is the weight of what happened in that stadium on Sunday. And that is why we need to break every part of this story down, piece by piece. If you want this level of analysis on every major Arsenal story this season, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is built for Arsenal supporters who want the full picture, not just the headlines. Now let us go deeper. Fabrizio Romano confirms the standings. Fabrizio Romano, one of the most trusted names in football journalism, posted the confirmation immediately after full time. His words were direct and powerful. Arsenal are now plus 5 points on top of the Premier League with 2 games to go. Manchester City have a game in hand. The table at that moment tells the story clearly. Arsenal sit in first place with 79 points from 36 games played. Manchester City sits second with 74 points from 35 games played. That means even if City win their game in hand, the gap returns to 2 points. Arsenal would still be in control. Arsenal would still be in the driving seat. Now here is why that matters so much. 2 games remaining for Arsenal, 3 games remaining for Manchester City. City need to win all 3 of their remaining games, and they need Arsenal to drop points in their last 2. That is not impossible, but the situation is very much in Arsenal's favour. The evidence is right there in the numbers. 79 points, 5-point lead, 2 games left. Arsenal have done the hard work. Now they simply need to finish. The Athletic breaks down the 94th minute drama. The Athletic reported this story with the kind of detail it deserved. Callum Wilson thought he was West Ham's stoppage-time hero. His shot struck Declan Rice beyond the Arsenal line in the 94th minute. The ball crossed, the home fans erupted. The goal was initially awarded, but their joy was short-lived. Following the VAR check, the goal was disallowed. Pablo was adjudged to have fouled David Raya as the corner was being delivered. The Athletic asked the question on everyone's lips. Was it the right call? And they answered it simply: a huge call. And that is the correct framing. Whether you agree or disagree with the decision, nobody can deny the magnitude of it. This was not an ordinary disallowed goal. This was a goal that, if it had stood, would have changed the entire landscape of the Premier League title race. VAR in this country has been criticised endlessly over the years, but on this occasion, Darren England made a decision under extraordinary pressure, and by all accounts, supported by the evidence on the monitor, it was the right one. Pep Guardiola speaks, and his words tell you everything. This screenshot is perhaps the most revealing of everything we are discussing today. Pep Guardiola, Manchester City's manager, was asked about the Premier League title race, and his response, reported by Fabrizio Romano, was remarkable in what it admitted. Guardiola said they are fighting it against, like Liverpool, a colossal team. He then added that Arsenal are in the Champions League final. They did not lose 1 game in that competition. They are top of the league. He concluded by saying, "It is not in our hands now, so it depends on them having to drop points." Read those words carefully, and Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers in football history, is publicly stating that the title is no longer in Manchester City's hands. He is saying Arsenal need to drop points for City to win this league. That is a remarkable admission. That is a manager who knows his team is in second place and chasing. The situation could not be clearer when the opposition manager himself is saying it depends on Arsenal making mistakes. And based on everything Arsenal have shown this season, making mistakes in big moments is not in their character. Not this team, not under Mikel Arteta. Scoska's full-time statistics tell the dominant story. The final score was West Ham United 0, Arsenal 1. But the statistics underneath that result paint a picture of a team that was in control for large portions of this game. Arsenal had 63.8% possession compared to West Ham's 36.2%. Arsenal completed 413 passes. West Ham completed 189. Arsenal had 15 shots to West Ham's 9. Arsenal had 4 shots on target to West Ham's 3. Arsenal had 24 touches in the opposition box compared to West Ham's 15. Now, some people will look at those numbers and say Arsenal should have won more comfortably. And statistically, they are not wrong. The evidence suggests Arsenal were the better team across the 90 minutes, but football does not always reward the better team. Sometimes you grind, sometimes you survive. And that is exactly what Arsenal did today. They ground it out, they found the goal through Trossard, and they held on when it mattered most. The character shown in the final minutes of this game, in the face of the VAR drama and the pressure of what was at stake, is the character of champions. Squawka reveals a historic record. This is a detail that every Arsenal supporter needs to stop and appreciate. Arsenal have now won 42 games across all competitions in the 2025-2026 season. That is the most wins in a single season in Arsenal's entire history. The previous record was 41 wins, set all the way back in 1970-71. Squawka added something even more remarkable. Mikel Arteta's record breakers are just 3 wins away from a famous double. 3 wins. That is all that stands between this Arsenal team and a Premier League and Champions League double. The Premier League title and whatever comes next in Europe, that is the scale of what is being built at this football club right now. And the fact that they are doing it while simultaneously breaking 60-year-old club records tells you everything about the extraordinary standards this team has set in this campaign. Opta Joe provides the Trossard context. Opta Joe provided a fascinating statistical detail around the goal that won Arsenal this match. Leandro Trossard scored his first goal in 26 appearances for Arsenal across all competitions. His previous goal had come against Aston Villa back in December 2025. 26 games without a goal. And then when the season is at its most critical point, on a Sunday afternoon in East London, with the title race hanging in the balance, Trossard steps up and delivers. Now, here is the analytical point. The fact that Trossard went 26 games without scoring and Mikel Arteta kept trusting him, kept selecting him, kept believing in him, says everything about the trust and belief within this squad. And the fact that Trossard repaid that faith with the most important goal of the season so far says everything about the character of this player. Big players deliver in big moments. Today was a big moment, and Trossard delivered. The Athletic frames the turning point perfectly. The Athletic made a point that perfectly captures the momentum shift that decided this game. Arsenal had not scored a second-half goal in 7 consecutive games across all competitions. 7 games. That is a genuine concern. That is a problem that had been building, and supporters had been feeling it. Until now. Minutes after David Raya produced his crucial save at one end of the pitch, Leandro Trossard scored the decisive goal at the other end. The Athletic concluded that Mikel Arteta's side are within touching distance of the Premier League title. Think about the sequence. Raya saves. Within minutes, Trossard scores. That is the kind of momentum swing that decides seasons. That is the kind of moment that gets remembered for decades. Raya stops West Ham from taking the lead, and almost immediately Arsenal take the lead themselves from potential crisis to match-winning goal. That is a team that does not just have quality, that is a team that has belief, resilience and the mental strength to respond when it matters. Squawka highlights Calafiori's first half numbers. Ricardo Calafiori's first half by numbers against West Ham. 3 aerial duels won, 3 times possession won back, 3 touches in the opposition box, 3 shots, 1 shot on target. Those numbers tell you Calafiori was active at both ends of the pitch. He was defending, he was pressing, and he was getting into dangerous areas going forward. For a defender to register 3 shots in a first half is a significant contribution. It shows the kind of total football Arteta demands from every position on the pitch. The interesting detail here, which we will come back to, is that despite those numbers, Arteta substituted Calafiori at half-time. We will examine that decision shortly. But those first half statistics show a player who was performing at a high level before being taken off for tactical reasons. Arsenal radar names Trossard, the best player at half-time. At half-time, Arsenal radar rated Leandro Trossard as the best player on the pitch. The evidence behind that verdict is compelling. Trossard hit the woodwork twice in the first half. He had 2 shots, one of which was on target. He won 3 of his 5 ground duels. Twice he hit the woodwork. In a game that finished 1-0, in a game that could have ended 0-0, those 2 woodwork strikes are the kind of fine margins that define title races. If either of those efforts had gone in, this game has a completely different story. But the persistence, the movement, the quality Trossard showed throughout the 90 minutes ultimately delivered the goal that mattered most. The Athletic captures the Raya save moment. The Athletic framed David Raya's save from West Ham's Matheus Fernandes with a question that cuts right to the heart of it. How huge could this moment prove to be for the title race and the relegation fight? Fernandes was through on goal, one-on-one with Raya. It felt destined to end up in the net. And yet Raya got down, got his body behind it and denied what looked like a certain goal. That save matters for 2 reasons. The obvious reason is that it kept Arsenal level at 0-0 at the time, which then allowed Trossard's goal to win the game rather than simply equalise. But the second reason is the effect it had on momentum. A goalkeeper's save of that quality at that moment, in that context, sends a message. It tells your teammates that they are protected. It tells the opposition that today is not their day. And within minutes, Arsenal were in front. Ben Jacobs calls it a title-defining moment. Journalist Ben Jacobs made the assessment clearly. David Raya's save to deny Matheus Fernandes appears a title-defining moment. Massive. At both ends of the table, with Leandro Trossard then putting Arsenal ahead less than 10 minutes later. The phrase title-defining moment is not used lightly by experienced football journalists. And the fact that Jacobs connected both the save and the goal in a single observation is the correct analysis. These 2 events, the save and the goal, are linked. One created the conditions for the other, and together they may well have decided the destination of the Premier League trophy. At both ends of the table, that detail matters too. West Ham, still in a relegation battle, dropping points in a game like this has its own devastating consequences. Arsenal's win tonight had ripple effects across the entire league table. Fabrizio Romano confirms Trossard's season total. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that with his goal against West Ham, Leandro Trossard now has 17 goal contributions for the season. 7 goals and 10 assists, 17 contributions, 7 goals and 10 assists. For a player who went 26 games without scoring before today, those numbers across the full season are exceptional. 10 assists means he has been consistently creating for teammates throughout the campaign, even during that personal goal drought. The evidence suggests Trossard has been one of Arsenal's most important attacking players this season, and today he reminded everyone of his ability to score in the moments that define seasons. Arsenal News Channel reacts with honest emotion. The Arsenal News Channel account posted a reaction that many supporters would recognise. My heart simply cannot take much more of this. The ending of that game was absolutely insane, but you have to give credit to VAR and Darren England because he 100% made the correct decision. Then came the football analysis behind the emotion. Absolutely incredible defending from Arsenal and a moment of excellent quality from Odegaard and Trossard to give us all 3 points. 2 things to take from this. First, the acknowledgement that VAR got this decision right. In an era where VAR is routinely criticised, the situation here is clear. The foul on Raya was confirmed on the pitchside monitor. The on-field referee overturned the original decision and the right outcome was delivered. That deserves to be acknowledged. Second, the credit given to Odegaard for the assist that created Trossard's goal. The combination of Odegaard and Trossard in the decisive moment reflects the quality that Arteta has built into this squad. Arsenal's starting 11 and Arteta's explanation. Before the game, Arsenal lined up as follows. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori in defence, Lewis Skelly and Rice in midfield, Eze and Saka in attacking midfield, Trossard and Gyökeres leading the attack. Arteta spoke about his decision to keep an unchanged starting 11. His reasoning was that the team provides fluidity and threat in attacking play, and the players give the option to change the game with others from the bench throughout the match. That is the language of a manager who trusts his group completely. Arteta saw no reason to make changes because the team had been performing, and today, despite the nerves, despite the difficulty of the match, that trust was justified. The substitutions during the game, including Mosquera replacing Calafiori at half-time and Odegaard coming on later, gave Arsenal the tactical flexibility to manage the game and find the winning goal. The Arteta managerial record statistic. The final screenshot highlighted something about Mikel Arteta's managerial record that adds another layer to this story. Mikel Arteta has never lost a league match when his side has had 3 games remaining in his managerial career. Never. Not once. In every season where Arsenal have gone into the final 3 games with Arteta as manager, the team has been unbeaten across those remaining fixtures. The evidence suggests this is not a coincidence. It is a reflection of a manager who prepares his team to finish seasons strongly. The evidence across multiple campaigns supports this. And now, with Arsenal 5 points clear at the top and 2 games remaining, the situation is firmly in their favour. History, statistics and the current standings all point in the same direction. The VAR decision in full detail. Now let us go through the full detail of the VAR controversy that threatened to unravel everything in the 94th minute. Chris Kavanagh was the on-field referee. He initially awarded West Ham the goal. Callum Wilson had put the ball in the net and the celebration had started. Then Darren England, the VAR official, and his assistant Akil Howson intervened from Stockley Park. A lengthy review began. After examining the footage, they sent Kavanagh to the pitch-side monitor. Kavanagh reviewed the incident himself and then overturned his original decision. His announcement was clear. West Ham number 19 commits a foul on the goalkeeper. Final decision, a free kick. The foul in question was by Pablo on David Raya in the build-up to the goal. Pablo, according to the decision, had impeded Raya before the ball fell to Wilson on the edge of the box. Without that foul, Raya might have been in a better position. The goal was therefore directly connected to the illegal obstruction of the goalkeeper. Gary Neville, speaking from the gantry on Sky Sports, supported the decision. He said he believed it was a foul, noting that the West Ham player was holding Raya. He then questioned whether Raya had the courage to make the decision, calling it massive for refereeing in this country. He added that this was one of those moments where Arsenal might think their name is on the trophy. Neville also noted that Darren England is the appointed referee for the FA Cup final at Wembley. He will not face a more pressurised moment than that decision at Wembley. High praise for the VAR officials' ability to perform under pressure. The reality for Arsenal is that they needed the correct decision to be made, and it was. The reality for West Ham is that their player committed a foul and the technology confirmed it. However painful that is for Hammers supporters, the process worked as it is designed to work. And the wider consequence of this decision for Arsenal is enormous. 5 points clear, 2 games to go. The evidence suggests the title is theirs to lose. And based on everything we have seen from this team this season, losing it would take something extraordinary. The player ratings and what they reveal, the match ratings published after the game, tell a story that goes deeper than just the final score. Let us go through the key figures. David Raya received a 9 out of 10. The assessment was that he produced one of the finest saves in recent times to keep the game at 0-0. And it was described as a moment which could be huge in the title race. That is the highest individual rating of the match, and it was earned by the goalkeeper. On a day when Arsenal's attackers struggled to impose themselves, it was Raya who held the team together at the critical moment. Ben White received a 6 out of 10, but that rating is accompanied by significant context. White was forced off with an injury during the first half. His absence significantly weakened Arsenal. The assessment was clear that the team looked weaker down the right side after he departed, and Declan Rice was forced into a covering role at fullback to compensate. Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba both received 8 out of 10. They were described as once again flawless and huge in helping Arsenal keep a clean sheet. The evidence across this season is consistent. These 2 central defenders are among the best partnerships in European football. Their performance against West Ham was another example of that quality. Ricardo Calafiori received 7 out of 10 for his first half performance against Jarrod Bowen. However, Arteta substituted him at half-time to bring on Christian Mosquera and move Miles Lewis-Skelly to left-back. This was the tactical decision that Gary Neville described as stunning, though the reasons behind it appear tactical rather than performance-based. Declan Rice received 6 out of 10. Rice was moved around from midfield to full-back and back throughout the match following White's injury. The assessment was that it was not his finest afternoon upon his return to East London. Context matters here. Rice was being asked to do 2 jobs in one game due to the injury crisis, and that naturally affected his contribution in his natural midfield role. Miles Lewis-Skelly received 4 out of 10 for what was described as a quiet and below-par afternoon. Iberechi Eze, Bukayo Saka and Victor Gyökeres all received 3 out of 10. Azal failed to register any of his 3 shots on target. Saka, described as brilliant since his return to fitness, had a very poor afternoon, completing just 17 passes and failing to get a single shot on target. Gyökeres managed just 2 shots all afternoon. Martin Odegaard received 7 out of 10. He came on as a substitute and immediately changed the game, providing the assist for Trossard's winning goal. Leandro Trossard received 7 out of 10. He scored the decisive goal and was active throughout, hitting the woodwork twice before finally finding the net. Martin Zubimendi, Christian Mosquera, Kai Havertz and Noni Madueke all received 5 out of 10 for solid but unremarkable contributions from the bench. The analytical takeaway from these ratings is important. Arsenal won this game not because their star attackers were brilliant. They won despite Saka, Gyökeres and Eze all having poor games. They won because Raya was extraordinary, because Gabriel and Saliba were immovable, because Trossard scored with his only real opportunity, and because Odegaard, when introduced, immediately provided the quality that unlocked the goal. That is the mark of a team with real depth. A team where one player can be having the worst game of his season and another steps up to cover. A team built to win matches even when not at their very best. And that is the most important quality any team can have when chasing a title. So let us bring all of this together into one clear picture. Arsenal defeated West Ham United 1-0 on Sunday, May 10th, 2026. Leandro Trossard scored the only goal in the 83rd minute, ending a run of 7 consecutive games without a second-half goal. David Raya produced what many are calling a title-defining save to deny Mateus Fernandes. Callum Wilson had a stoppage-time goal disallowed for a foul by Pablo on Raya, a decision confirmed by VAR and supported by Gary Neville on Sky Sports. The result leaves Arsenal 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League with 2 games remaining. Manchester City hold a game in hand but need to win all 3 of their remaining fixtures and need Arsenal to drop points. Pep Guardiola has publicly acknowledged the title is no longer in City's hands. Arsenal have now recorded 42 wins across all competitions this season, the most in the club's entire history. They are the first team from Europe's top 5 leagues to play 60 matches in a single season. They are 3 wins away from a historic double, and Mikel Arteta has never lost a league match when his team has had 3 games or fewer remaining. The situation is clear, the evidence is overwhelming, and the evidence suggests that what we witnessed at the London Stadium today was not just a football match. It was the afternoon. The Premier League title race tilted definitively in Arsenal's direction. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. You are exactly the kind of supporter this channel is built for. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with every Arsenal fan you know, and I will see you in the next one. Come on, Arsenal.